Today's episode features some really amazing guests, and we're going to be talking about what is van life and why should I care. But before we get into today's discussion, if you're a fan of van life and want to learn more, then you've come to the right place. Van Talks, presented by Vanlife Outfitters, is a series of panel discussions where we talk about all things van life. There's a list of upcoming episodes in the description below. And while you're down there, please subscribe to this channel and like the video so we can continue providing the van life community with more valuable content. But enough about that, let's get into today's discussion. Welcome to Van Talks. I'm your host, Josh, one of the co-founders of Vanlife Outfitters. And I'm really happy that we got some amazing guests today. We have Mars and Ash, better known as the Fites, and we also have Austin and Janna. And we'll just jump right into it. Let's start with you, Austin and Janna. Tell us a little bit about yourselves and how you guys got into van life and where people can find you.
Right on. Well, the main reason we got into van life is because she's crazy. You know, kind of take it from there.
Yeah, I just saw people like scrolling through Instagram, people that lived in their van, and I was like, I think we could do that. So we had only been married for like 3 months. Probably. 3 months when we saw the picture, and then we bought the van 3 months later. So we had been married for 6 months total when we got the van. And yeah, we are on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, all as Austin and Janna, just our names.
And when was that? How long have you guys been doing this? I noticed on your Instagram, right? It's like you guys were recently celebrating a 1-year anniversary.
Yep.
Vaniversary?
So living full time in the van, it's a little bit over a year. Our kind of 1-year vaniversary was in the middle of June. But we bought the van about 2 years ago and then outfitted and built it for a year on like nights and weekends. So.
Okay, awesome. And okay, Mars and Ash, please introduce yourselves and tell everybody how you guys got into van life and how everybody can find you.
Well, I'm Mars.
And I'm Ash, and we got into van life back in, I'd say 2016. We did a 48 state road trip, and we did it in a Honda Civic. We also have we had a 2-year-old daughter. She was 2 at the time. She's 7 now. And so it was quite packed. So on that road trip, we were like, man, it'd be so great to just like have a bed in the car. We were camping.
We were gone for like 3.5 months. Yeah. And we realized, man, an RV would like be super sweet, right. Or like some sort of van or tiny house that we just take on the road with us. And we work on the road as well. So it was kind of this like testing period for us to see if we could kind of connect all the dots of the cities that we were working in and just kind of like hang out in between and doing stuff. Right. So then after that little summer, we realized like a van would be perfect for us because we moved so quickly. And
April 2017, we moved in the van full time. And so this past April was 5 years of van living, which we never expected to do it for 5 years. First of all, we were going to do it for 1. And then at 1 year, we finally felt like we got the hang of it. So we just kept going. But you can find us on Instagram and YouTube, The Fites, at both places.
Right.
FITES, not like a fight.
Yeah, FITES. So I guess I'll introduce myself a little bit more too, because I'm also sort of one of the guests and the host. I'm representing the single traveler's perspective, even though now I have a girlfriend. But when I started van life, I was single. And you guys were really kind of representing the family perspective of van life. And then Austin and Janna is sort of kind of in this format is representing the couple's perspective of van life. I started back in 2017. I was living in Miami, just kind of like in a not really a fulfilling life. I was kind of projecting a lifestyle that I didn't really feel was like being true to myself. And I just was looking into like tiny houses, and then I just realized that it wasn't enough freedom in the tiny houses. And obviously like there's TV shows and stuff like that with the tiny houses. And then I think I even saw you guys on HGTV or something like that. And I just I was like, wow, that's awesome. That's really cool that they're a family building out a van, and a van kind of appealed to me because it's like a lot more freedom. It's, you're sacrificing a little bit of comfort for freedom. And so that was back in 2017, and I've been, van lifing ever since. And people can find me obviously at Vanlife Outfitters, my company, and then also my personal Instagram is at the.boondocker. And so like, let me ask Austin and Janna, what was your guys' living situation before Vanlife?
We lived in just like an apartment right before van life. And then we actually ended up moving in with my parents while we built out the van because we were saving money.
Okay, and Mars and Ash, what was your guys' living situation before Vanlife?
We had a 4-bed, 2-bath house.
It was bigger than a van.
It was bigger.
And
to be honest, we had like we used one of the rooms as like our daughter's bedroom, and then like one is like a little office, but like one room like never got used.
That's not true.
Sad.
We always had a roommate.
I mean, after a while we did.
And one time he turned 2 rooms into music studios. So.
Okay, all right.
So
they got used, but we had plenty of space, and it was like, I don't know.
Right.
Didn't need all of it.
But we didn't need all of it. And it definitely tied us down because we work on the road. And so every time we'd go out for work, we'd go back home and go back and go back. And we're like, man, it'd just be nice to just stay out and then get to adventure in these places that we're actually working on, in between jobs and stuff.
So it seems like you guys kind of had the decision together. Like you didn't really need to convince one or the other, right?
Yeah, it was definitely a collective idea.
Yeah, it was definitely. We worked like on our first initial road trip in our car. I mean, we talked about it
all the time.
Yeah,
we pretend like we were driving a van.
Yeah, we imagined ourselves just driving the van and like being in the van and all that kind of stuff. And then as soon as we were done with that road trip, we're like, yeah, it's definitely right. The route. So it was pretty fluent.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And Austin and Janna, it sounds like maybe Austin need a little bit more convincing.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
I remember I showed him the Instagram post and I was like, look at these people living in a van. I think we could do that. And he was like, oh yeah. And then I was like, sweet, he's in, we've got it. And so I started like looking into vans and then he was like, oh, you're serious.
I meant it as just, that's really cool. That sounds nice.
So, but it didn't take too long because like I said, we bought the van 3 months later. So we got on board pretty fast.
Yeah, I mean, especially since you guys have just been recently married, it's like kind of like that's a
exactly what I was expecting, but I'm on board.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, for me, it was kind of like I started big, like with a tiny house, and then I kind of like went like, well, that's too big, maybe an RV, and then I was like, that's too big, let me just do a van because that's as small as I want to get. So there wasn't really anybody that needed convincing. I was ready to do it. I always tell people, like a lot of people ask me, like, what are some of the things that I should do first when I'm really decide that I want to get into van life. And the first thing I tell everybody is don't tell your friends and family because they'll try and talk you out of it. They might not get it. So I guess let's start with Austin and Janna. Did you guys get any push? I mean, you were living with your family. Did you have any pushback from your family initially?
No, they were all very supportive, which was really nice. We didn't tell people for a long time because of that. We were like, they're going to try to talk us out of it, or they're going to think we're crazy. And when we started to tell people, I think most people didn't think we would actually go through with it. Like they're like, oh yeah, pipe dream, And so when we actually bought it, most people were very supportive. Luckily, our parents were all on board, and they thought it was really cool too. So my parents actually bought a camper like right after we bought our van because like we can meet you places, and they did a couple of times.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool. I'm trying to get my parents to jump on the bandwagon. Mars and Ash, you guys started before it really became mainstream. I think like van life kind of became mainstream definitely during the pandemic, but really kind of towards like in 2019 it really started picking up a lot of steam. So I wanted to get your guys' perspective back in 2015-16 when you guys were getting into it. Did you guys get a lot of pushback from your friends and family?
I don't feel like we did because we did that road trip. And so people already kind of knew we were crazy a little bit. And so getting a van, they were like, oh, that makes sense. I think the only thing that made it a little bit more difficult was Everly. She was 3 or turning 3 when we moved into the van full time. And so people that were like in early childhood education or things would mention like, You know, is she going to be able to be social? Like, is she going to know how to interact with
developmental
kids?
years
And
like,
so it made me really nervous, like those kind of comments. But after being in the van for even just a few months, like Everly is I don't know if you've met her. She's a very like extroverted child.
Extremely extroverted.
Awesome.
And so she has no problem meeting like complete strangers and becoming friends like instantaneously. So it gave me a lot of like relief being on the road with her. And then now those comments are kind of like, oh, okay, because they just don't understand like our family dynamic, you know.
I will say, like, there were some family members that were just like not really, like, they didn't understand it at all. They're just like, man, you guys should be building a life, you know, not running out and doing like that kind of stuff. And back then, just like telling someone in passing, like, oh yeah, I'm living and traveling in a van, like people were just like, what?
It was really weird.
Like, it was, we were met with a lot of I don't know, like interest and curiosity, but also just like, why? Like, what on earth? And now it's much easier because people are familiar with van life, and so they're like, oh, typically it's like, I would like to do that, or I have a friend that's, you know,
yeah,
whatever.
People usually have somebody in their circle that they know that's interested at least in it. I remember we had friends that were like, that's cool for you guys, but they would never look at doing a van, and now they have vans for weekends. So I mean, we have like multiple friends who now have vans just to like travel out and like camp, and I'm like, oh, see, it's not so weird anymore.
It makes a lot of sense.
It does.
That's awesome. You guys were kind of like an inspiration to your friends, really, and Austin and Janna was an inspiration to their family. So you guys are impacting.
It's really cool.
Yeah, you guys are impacting your friends and families' lives in a positive way. Me, like living in Miami, like I mean, you guys were just in Miami, like nobody gets van life in Miami. Maybe like now there's like, it's getting, so when I was living like a kind of like a fast lifestyle, like, you know, waterfront condo, a sports car and all this stuff. And I had my network of friends, just that wasn't a thing for them. They didn't get it. And back in 2016, 17, when I was building mine, they all thought I sold my real estate company. They all thought I was crazy for walking away from such a, you know, a successful business. And then I think right when I finished the van and I like showed them the van, they're like, oh, okay, I get it. This is really cool.
right.
Like back in 2016, 17, they're on like, it wasn't blowing up on Instagram like it is now. So like people they're like, you're gonna sell your real estate business and live in a van? Like,
yeah.
What? So yeah, so I walked away from my business, but I wanted to ask you guys first, Mars and Ash, because I think it's really interesting how you guys make a living on the road. Can you guys share to the viewers like how you guys earn a living? Because I think it's actually really awesome.
You have the most concise way to explain it.
It's kind of a little hard to wrap your head around, and most people are always just like, I still don't know what you do after you try to tell them. But we are tour managers for like experiential and promotional marketing tours. So, you know, if you think of like going to a music festival and you see like a headphone company has like a big booth set up and they're promoting whatever, you know, these headphones, like those brands hire people like us to go out on the road and a lot of times even help create the tour and run logistics and operations for it and then fulfill the tour. So that's what we do.
That's a really simple rep way. So
cool.
Actually,
does that make sense?
Does it make sense? I think so.
Yeah, it absolutely makes sense. I mean, if people go on your Instagram, well, this is going to air later, but like I follow you guys and like I've seen the tour that you guys are on now with the makeup company, and I think Mars. Yeah, there it is. That's really cool.
Whoa, that's cool.
It is a.
So yeah, we're currently setting up. Today and tomorrow are like setup days. So we're on the beach here in
North
Chicago.
Avenue Beach in Chicago, which really cool.
Really cool spot. We'll be here Saturday, Sunday doing an event for the public. And so after this, we go to San Francisco. And so we're on like a 4-month tour with this client, Hydrofacial. And so, you know, we have, you know, we don't work directly for the different brands, but we're hired on, like he said, to do like logistics and we work with a company based out of Chicago to do all of that too.
Yeah. And you were going to say something, Mars?
I was just say a lot of times it ends up like we have a very very different van life experience because of this,
Right.
because it's like we're on tour. Like Everly, our daughter, she's like, we're going on tour. That means like we're going in the van, but we're also gonna be doing work while we're going, and then
Right.
we're off tour, and then we just have big seasons where we're just in the van going and just doing
Right.
van
'Cause
type stuff.
Tour
So
season's usually like April through October, which is like when you saw us in Florida. And then in the
Yeah.
winters, we're kind of just, we wait around for tour season so we can travel. Our schedule's really open.
typically go south.
Right.
You know what I
Typically
mean?
try
So,
to
like,
go to like Arizona or Southern California or Baja, or, what the van lifers do.
Baja soon.
Baja,
Yeah.
Oh,
right.
quick plug for the van life. We're planning a van life festival in Florida in February. So quick plug for
Oh,
that.
sweet.
Hopefully both you guys
Nice.
and Austin and Janna can make it. And so like you're kind of like a lot of times you're driving the truck, right? And then
Yeah, so
her and Everly and Atlas are following you guys.
Yep.
right,
Mhm.
yep. In tour life, that's kind of how it works. Like I jump in whatever the given truck is for the tour, or a Sprinter van in one case,
Right.
or in
And then
several
I'll follow
cases.
in our van.
Right. So we
So-
do a little caravanning, and each tour really, it's its own thing. Like this is a pretty slow moving tour, really. So it's kind of nicer, but a lot of times we have very quick moving tours. And so, yeah, we're both in Sprinter vans, just jotting around, and
Mhm.
we see a lot of the country, quickly.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, you guys probably get to stay in some really interesting spots. Like you guys are parked on the shore of, what is that, Lake Michigan?
Yep.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's
And
really pretty.
in
do
Miami,
that.
we were at what, Bayside?
Oh yeah, Bayside Park.
Bayfront.
Bayfront Park.
Park.
Yeah.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
that's pretty
Um,
cool. Like nobody gets to camp there. Like you guys are getting to camp in
Right.
some
Yeah.
really interesting places.
Yeah.
So
It's
It's
cool.
yeah.
Austin and Janna, how do you guys make a living on the road? Because you guys have an amazing like content on Instagram and TikTok. So how do you guys make a living on the road?
We have a couple different ways, as most van life people do. So our kind of main source of income is we own an axe throwing company. So we have a brick and mortar building here in our hometown that people come in, we hand them a couple of hatchets, and then they throw at our walls. And so that just recently became a thing. We opened up in November, so we were well into van life by the time that did. And then our
Well, we have a business partner for
Sure.
that too, which is how we're able to still travel. So he owns a distillery here in town, and he has like a family here. So he's able to do like the upfront work while we're able to still travel. And then we come back every like once a month, maybe.
like check on things,
Check
make
on
sure everything's
things.
all right.
Yeah.
And then our other way is it's all Janna is all the social media and Instagram and TikTok, and she does a great job of curating all of that content that you all get to see.
It's
So-
not a lot of money, but
but anything helps
recently,
when you live in your car.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're-
Give us a quick plug on the axe throwing place and tell us what
It's
where it is.
called- It's called Greeley Hatchet House.
Okay.
We are in downtown Greeley, which is our hometown. Yeah, it's in northern Colorado. And if you're ever down in town, come hang out. We sell beer. We let you throw things at the wall, and it's a good time.
Yeah.
And we're also opening a cocktail bar in a couple months. So
Wow.
we've been here in Colorado, getting everything ready for that. So yeah, we're also opening a cocktail bar.
That's awesome. Yeah, the Fites actually live in Colorado too. So what was that? Was that scary? Starting a business during the pandemic,
Oh yes.
Oh my
Well,
gosh.
especially a
didn't know.
business where people are touching like the axes and stuff like
Well,
that.
we didn't know.
Yeah, it was hard because we obviously nobody planned for it. So we originally scheduled to open up right about the time we really left on our big first trip, and that got postponed. And then we opened in November. We opened on the 13th, and then we immediately had to close after 4 days of being open, and we were closed for 2.5 months.
Oh wow.
Wow.
So it was a huge bummer, but we had a really good week.
Yeah.
And so like things are back to normal now and
Pretty much,
Yeah.
yeah.
For now.
awesome.
Well,
see.
we'll see. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
But yeah, things are pretty much back to normal. We live in we don't live here, but like where the business is like it's about 100,000 people, so it's relatively small. So it doesn't quite have the big city kind of shutdown lockdowns as other people get. So we're hoping this kind of Delta stuff will be relatively smooth sailing.
Yeah, it's really great. You guys have like an operational partner that allows you to travel, and so you guys have been a little bit over a year. What have been your favorite aspects of living a nomadic life?
Oh my gosh,
Oh,
just
wow.
being able to leave.
Yeah.
Being able to just go and like we'll be out on like a Tuesday morning and we're like, it's so fun. Like other people have to be at work and we're sitting on a beach in California. So that's my favorite part. I don't know what hers is, but
Well, yeah, I think the same thing. Just being able to travel, but like have your house with you, it's just a game changer. Like we were never beach people, which sounds kind of weird, but ever since van life, we're beach people because we have our whole house with us. You know, it's like we'll just, if we forget something, we'll just walk back up to the van real fast and grab it. It's like it just makes traveling so much easier and more enjoyable. I think.
oh, absolutely.
What about you, Mars and Ash? What are your guys' favorite parts of living a nomadic lifestyle?
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely roll with like having what I need with me, like my basic necessities
All
with
the
me all the
time.
time it's unbeatable. Like I
don't know how I'd
you
ever
don't
have
even
like a car again. Like I don't know, you know, like how do you like there's not a toilet in it, like
we
or
like
a place
because
to cook. Like you have everything you need always.
I
you
just
know.
don't see a reason of like getting an SUV or like, you know, it's
Yeah.
like, I'll just buy another van, just put
Yeah,
some
we
seats
talked
in it,
about,
and
like-
like just have a basic, you know, good like
Why would
doesn't-
you ever buy like a 3-row SUV? Like that doesn't make any sense to me now. Like every
well, we're like, you know, with the kids.
Yeah, with
and
kids, we're like, maybe we
well,
someday.
maybe someday. We're like,
I was
now
like,
let's buy another
no.
van.
I'm like, why would you do that?
Yeah, I always say
Um,
that I always say that travel is the best education, and it's really great that your kids are going to get such an amazing education on the road.
Yeah,
Yeah,
us
I
too.
think so.
Mhm.
Yeah, I love van life for all the reasons that you guys named, and I really love the growth of it, because it, you know, it's not all, you know, puppies and rainbows on the road, and you know, sometimes things go wrong, and it actually just really forces you to grow as a person. And obviously there's a lot of time driving, and so I use that time personally for listening to audiobooks and podcasts, and it's like,
Yep.
but I had like a laundry list of books that I wanted to read before van life, and I just knocked them out in like the first 6 months. And I was like, I need book recommendations, because like and those books I had been just kind of like sitting on my shelf for like years. And so that's one thing that I love about living a nomadic lifestyle. But again, like it's not all puppies and rainbows. So I'd like to get your perspective, especially traveling with kids, like you know, the stuff that we don't see on social media, and what are like the drawbacks or the challenges of living a nomadic lifestyle with, you know, in general, but also I think a lot of people watching this are going to want to, you know, hear, you know, what it's like traveling with kids specifically.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that's a great question.
I'll start by saying Everly. So we have 2 kids now. We started with Everly. You know, she was 3 when we got into the van, and she's always been a great traveler. Like she'd play with her hands in the back seat and like make up games.
She makes
and
elaborate storylines that would just go on
Yeah.
for hours, and like it's like very good at entertaining herself.
right,
And like road trips are
they're great.
like fine, completely fine with her. The other day she was like, "Oh, we're going Denver to Oklahoma City. Like that's not far." And I was
10
like,
hours.
like compared to other drives she's done and like did fine. Yeah.
But our son, who's now 1.5, like is
It's
not
been a
the
little
same.
different road.
He like
Yeah.
hates his car seat and like screams a lot. And so his name's Atlas. So we thought it would like help.
Yeah.
I don't
like,
know.
you know, speaking into existence there. But
I don't know.
no, a big thing with like both the kids specifically is like there's one room, right? So
Yeah.
like, you know, we're winding down for the night, and like I'm like a big night owl, first of all. Like I stay up very late, but like not in the van anymore, because like when we start winding down,
Right.
like grooving, you know,
He has to have the
we're in the
lights off.
same-
Like he has to have all the lights
Right.
completely off. No
or you just won't
lights.
fall asleep.
And so it's like
that's really difficult.
we don't get to stay up. Or we have to like put them down and then we get to go like on the roof. You know, like we don't have like a separate space in the evenings.
Even if it's like just like, you know, something happened and they're temporarily crying or something, like having it all in one compact space it's it's challenging.
Yeah, or
It's
like
worth doing.
timeouts, like-
It's worth doing, but it's challenging.
Everybody goes to timeout, and like we're talking about her timeout, and she's listening about her timeout, and like it's just everything's a conversation. Like we're planning our day, and it's all like a team. Like
Everything you do is
part of the team,
right?
Like because
so it's
she's
like
in the conversation. You know,
if the kids want to go to the park, it's not like, oh yeah, you can just take the car and go to the park. It's like the house is
we're
going to the
all
park.
going together.
Like
to the
we're
park.
all going to the park. We got to run by like the store. Like we're all running by the store. And so I think there's like the closeness that that's built out for us as a family is really unparalleled. Like it's
really great.
Like, and I think that long term it's going to be great too. But it is like definitely another set of challenges, just like doing everything as a unit. We have to be very communicative. We have to just make sure that like
Right.
the kids are
Everything's a compromise.
know what's going
you know?
on. Exactly. There's lots of compromising.
Right. Someone has to go to the bathroom. You have to move out of the way. Like everyone's always moving. It's like, I mean, you know, you guys live in vans. Like you're all just kind of moving over each other when
someone's making dinner, and like you just need to wash your hands or go to the bathroom and then wash your hands. It's like, can you move so I can go to the bathroom so then I can wash my hands? It's like you like have to move kind of in sync with each other too.
But it's not, I mean, that's not like a huge problem in life. Like people deal with like hard things, and I'm like moving, you know, for the most part, it's been like 85% like awesome to be this like team unit together. But then, you know, it's that like 15%. My math is correct, right? Yeah.
One more thing is like getting babysitters on the road is like we've made it work, and like we started to, because that's been a big challenge for our work, is like we have to find a babysitter in like every single market,
right,
for the most part. But it's like not having a baby, like a go-to babysitter with the kids. It's like, you know, so we do a lot, like we said, we do a lot of things
with
as
kids,
a family,
right?
Yeah, with the kids, which is cool. But we still like we make it work and find babysitters, do all that thing. But as for like family-related things, those are the biggest challenges, I would say.
Not being able to like put your kids in a separate room it can be hard. With one, it was easy.
Or like waking up early and not wanting to wake everyone up. It's like it kind of goes both ways.
We're all up when someone's up, everyone's up, kind of thing.
So what about that's really beautiful, and it sounds like, you know, 85, like you said, 85% of it is amazing, and then, you know, there's drawbacks, and I really like how you said, you know, it kind of really puts it into perspective. You know, there's people that have, you know, real issues, but and problems in life, but I really think that you're letting a lot of people see that it can be done. You know, I follow you guys, and I know I've known you guys for a while, and you guys are, it's really beautiful. And Everly's like you said, she's like a little grown up. She's like amazing. She's got such a really, really cool personality. And I think it's really beautiful what you guys are doing. Austin and Janna, tell us what it's like, you know, living as a couple in a van, especially kind of like, you know, Mars and Ash are kind of like veterans, and you guys are pretty much you guys are like 1 year of anniversary. So what are the challenges as a couple, but also what were the challenges like kind of as fresh van lifers, new van lifers, that you didn't expect in the beginning?
I'd say the first thing that comes to mind is, especially being like newlyweds and that kind of stuff. We dated for a long time, but like in the van, when you're upset or something, you can't just like leave. Like you're like, well, we're actually on the side of a mountain, and I'm going to sit here and be mad at you while you sit right there and be mad at me. That's kind of the biggest thing, is you have to, like, they mentioned it. They're like, you have to communicate. And that's the biggest thing when you're in this space. Like, we now are in that mental mindset of, we are both here. Let's just sit down and let's figure it out. And this is where we are, and this is what we chose. So that's kind of the biggest thing. And then moving around too. That's it. I mean, you both of you guys know that is, you got to move here so somebody can slide here, then you can move back, and you just got to kind of constantly be that interlocking puzzle like to get that one piece out.
Yeah.
But I never even thought about having a babysitter on the road.
Yeah,
that sounds
wild.
way crazy.
I think for us, like most of it was like things that were hard, but that you just kind of get used to and you figure out, like the Tetris thing. It's like, that just feels like second nature now, you know. It's like It just feels natural. And I think one thing was like adjusting like your mindset on alone time. It's like you don't get alone time, you know? So alone time, I mean, I'm on the bed and Austin's on the bench and we have our headphones in, you know? It's like you have to be in the same space while getting your alone time, you know? So I think there's that. So yeah, I guess just adjusting the way you think about things like that. And like kind of like you guys said before too, we were only going to live in the van for a year, but now we feel like we're just now getting the hang of it. It's like now we know how it works. It's like,
we loved it.
We loved it, and now it's like it feels like home, you know. So it's like we will stay in it for longer, even though the plan was a year. So yeah,
that's great. And like I guess a lot of people, this particular episode is for people who, you know, are just finding out about van life and they don't know a lot about van life yet. Kind of take us through a day in your life, Austin and Janna, like, you know, from waking up to like what you do during the day, like, you know, where you're typically camping and kind of, I know it changes, but just kind of give us the, you know, kind of like an overview of like what you guys do in a typical day.
Well, we always say, because we're entrepreneurs, so we own our own business. So we always say every day is a weekend, and also we never have a weekend. So most days we wake up and we do a little bit of work, like we sit on our computer as long as we have Wi-Fi or some internet connection. And then we'll usually go explore wherever we are if we have time, or we'll just sit in the van all day or go to a coffee shop and continue working, just depending on what that looks like for the day.
But yeah, pretty typical day is, yeah, we'll get up, do a little bit of work, and then we're just outside. We go on hikes, we'll go explore a city, kind of pretty much the typical nomad stuff. Granted, it's not always like that, but we have yet to pay for a campsite, which we're very proud of.
Yes.
And we almost always will stay in national forest or go find your occasional Walmart.
We love Walmart.
I love staying at Walmart. It's everyone talks about it like, oh, why would you have a van and stay in a Walmart? I was like, because sometimes you're really tired and you don't want to look for a place to sleep, and that's very
What's that?
In a regular bathroom, and if you need
Oh yeah. Well, that goes back to like what Mars and Ash were saying about having everything with you. It's when you get tired, you just pull over and go to your bed in the back of your van. You know, it's like it's there. So yeah, that's really good insight into like kind of like entrepreneurial. You know, I've struggled with just kind of, and I guess that goes back to like finding a babysitter and stuff like that. For me, it's like having a routine, because like, you know, as much as I like to say, you know, like throw out the routine and like just go throw caution to the wind and just, you know, don't make any plans and stuff like that. I think, you know, one thing that I definitely miss is having a routine on the road, and it's tough to pin that down as much as you try. You know, I miss going, you know, like I don't have any kids, so I haven't had to deal with a babysitter, but I miss, you know, that yoga studio with the yoga teacher that is really amazing. And, you know, I can't go to them, you know, because I'm on the road. And so I guess Mars and Ash, you guys have obviously you have a way different kind of schedule with kids and the line of work that you're in, but kind of maybe you can give people insight into like what your typical day looks like.
Sure.
Maybe like an off tour.
Right. I was gonna say currently things are kind of just like insane and there's no like typical anything. But a typical van life day when we're not doing this crazy setup stuff is like we wake up. I honestly we both like our morning space. He tries to wake up early. He really does have that goal. I don't know how often that happens, but he will try to wake up early and like go meditate or something. He's a night owl.
But I try.
But I usually like to go on a morning like walk. Like I get out, I like go walk or go on a jog, like wherever we are.
When we're on our property, that's like for sure.
Yeah,
we actually have kind of get a good routine, but we haven't really been there until the pandemic. So
we bought 18 acres back in 2019. So we have some land out in Colorado. So if anyone in vans wants to come, just like hit us up on Instagram. Like we love like having people come out there. It's just bare land right now, but it's a place to be like home, which we really used like in the pandemic, like sheltering in place in our van, which is like a whole different story.
But routine wise, I'll go, like,
Yeah.
I like to get up and I juice right away, get some water. And then typically the kids are kind of getting around. So, we do breakfast, all that.
We have
And we
slow
pretty
mornings.
quickly, we have slow mornings. We put on some
Yeah.
meditation music and kind of just like, ease into the day. Then we typically find ourselves at a park. Typically, we'll let the kids run around. I'll shoot some hoops, maybe jump on the longboard.
Right. Or if we're in like national forests, like I second like what Janna and Austin were saying is like we do a lot of using like Seeker or other apps like that where we're able to find like free campsites like in national forests or like Bureau of Land Management, like places like that. And I mean, those are like, if you're just getting into van life, like those are like the best places because don't go pay for like a tiny little campsite when you can have like a huge view of a mountain and like an acre to yourself. It's
at the cost of taking care of it.
Right.
At the cost of cleaning up after yourself and leaving it better than you found it. So
we are always outside. We're out of the van. Like we got a van to not live in it, but to like, go explore, like just like what they were saying, like go explore the place you're in and like really, really try to be present and be there. We also homeschool our daughters. So I try to do like a couple hours a day of like reading, math, and then like sometimes we'll have like on a science or art or like something like that. But usually about like 2 hours. So
I love that
we
morning.
sing,
I love that morning routine, Mars. That's I'm gonna have to, start doing that. I kind of just I hit my day head on, and I really think that I should, slow it down a little bit. And yeah, shout out to Seeker app. If anybody's watching this and they want to know how to find free campsites and other van lifers and events and stuff like that, we're hoping to have them on a later episode.
Great.
Yeah, so that's really cool. And me and Christina may definitely take you guys up on coming out there and visiting. And
please
anytime.
do. We would love
Christina
that.
used to be a preschool
please.
teacher, so she's definitely,
great.
definitely free babysitting for you guys.
Oh yeah. That's awesome.
So what have you what have you guys learned? What have you guys learned about this lifestyle that you wish you could tell your past selves starting out? Or what would be like a piece of advice for somebody considering
Like
this,
us?
like van life?
I'll answer your second question first. Second question, I've been telling a lot of people to check out like rental apps, like I don't know, Outdoorsy or like RVZ, because instead of just like, I mean, definitely go for it. If you want to do it,
you're going to do it, just do it.
Don't let things hold you back. But also, like, if you're on the fence, your partner's on the fence, especially, like, go out for a weekend, like rent a van and check it out. And even if you're building your own, like, rent one and see what they did that you wouldn't want to do. Like just try one out and be like, I don't like the way this water is or whatever. And like, get to know someone's van. And I think it'd be really helpful for people. Something I wish I could tell my former self is probably like to not worry so much. Like the first year, I feel like I was so worried about things, and you probably can second that. And if I could have just like relaxed and just like been more present and really enjoyed like how awesome this lifestyle is rather than like worrying about like, well, where are we going to park or like, what are we going to do about this or that? Like it all's worked out and it's worked out in some really beautiful, wonderful ways. And like the community of van lifers is just like, it's the best like group of people to like get in like with friendships and everything. Like I love everyone that we meet on the road. So
That's awesome.
if I could have just told myself
for advice for new people getting into it, like go to meetups.
Yeah, go to
meetups, man. Make it a priority to go to meetups. We've never regretted a single
part of van life. Besides like having your house on the road, like best part has been like the community.
Yep.
So many like absolutely wonderful people. So
yeah, I second that. I mean, that's great advice. Because I've been seeing a lot of YouTube videos lately about like why we quit van life. And it's like they lived in their van for like 6 months or something like that. And I'm just like, I don't judge, but I think that it would be a good idea for people to rent a van for a week or 2 weeks if you have the money to do that. It doesn't even have to be a fancy van, just to get an idea of like what the lifestyle is really like. definitely go to meetups. You don't have to have a van to go to meetups. It's a very welcome.
Right. And then you can check out other people's vans that way
Yeah,
too,
check out
you
other
know?
people's
And it
vans,
puts you in the space.
Yeah.
Put you in the space where the maybe the more impossible for you at the moment becomes a lot more possible very quickly.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I have van life outfitters and I have van makers, and I get tons of emails every week about people that want to get into van life and they want to build vans and they just don't have the budget yet. And I'm just like, you don't need a $50,000 van to get into van life. You go out right now and buy a $2,500 van and put a bed in the back and a cooler in the front and like go and just hit the road and like
just do it.
just do it and worry about that later. You all the money that you're putting towards rent, you can just put that towards another van later.
Right.
What about you guys, Austin and Janna? What kind of, I guess, a double question sort of, what have you learned about this lifestyle that you wish you could tell your past self? And what advice would you give to somebody considering this?
Well, I love the idea of renting a van because we had never even been in like a built out van when we built our van.
We never even seen one.
Our van was the only van we'd ever been inside when we built our van. So I think I love that suggestion of going out and seeing it, because we would have done things a little bit differently. And we even reworked our layout as we built it, because like seeing it all put together was like, oh no, that's not gonna work. So I like that suggestion. Yeah.
I thought you stole mine.
Well, I do like, you know, go out and just do it. I love that too. Yeah.
Yeah, just like don't be scared of it. It's like, it is intimidating, but just like you said, you're like, you don't have to have an expensive van, and you absolutely don't. And like take your car and go up to the mountains and camp for a weekend. Like we did car camping a couple times before we bought our van, just to see if we could even do it.
Yeah.
And we liked it. It had its small catastrophes in itself. But like just go do it. And like what Janna told me when we first started this, she goes, I'm so thankful that we did it, because I don't want to look back and like regret us not doing it. And like this has made both of us grow better as a couple and better as individuals. And I'm very introverted, so like having this van life community and going to all these meetups has been really good for me, because I'm usually pretty quiet. But you get in these meetups and everyone's partying and everyone's like, we're making pizza, bring whatever ingredients you have. So I mean, that gets really fun. But to answer the second part of the question, what would we tell ourselves, I unfortunately have to piggyback, is I'm the worrier. So I was like, I don't know how we're gonna make money. I just don't know how like this is actually gonna work. And Janna just pushed me off the cliff, and so I didn't really get to worry about it. But yeah, just don't worry about it. Most times what I found in life is things work out in the end. Like if you put your heart and soul and actually give it everything you have, it's usually gonna work.
Amen. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. I kind of agree with both of you guys. You know, like when you step outside of your comfort zone, you know, van life kind of forces you to step outside of your comfort zone and do things that you would maybe not consider doing. And you know, like I said, stuff goes wrong, and it's how it forces you to kind of like change your mindset on how you would react and kind of be present, be in the moment, just roll with the punches, because you know, stuff does, your van breaks down or something breaks and you know, you get lost or something happens eventually. And it just kind of like really lets you kind of like, I was a warrior too. And everything, you just realize that everything sort of finds a way of working itself out. And so I'm actually really curious what you guys, we'll start with you, Austin and Janna, what you guys have planned for like the short-term future, and kind of like any exciting projects or anything that you guys want to talk about, or like what do you got going on here for the next 6 months, year? What's on the
well, in the very near future, like next week, we're going to Greece for a couple weeks. So van life, just like for fun. We found really cheap tickets, so that's really exciting. And I don't know, our cocktail bar is going to open hopefully in like November. So after we get back from Greece, we'll take off for a little bit again, and then we'll come back to Colorado and get that started. We thought about getting like a studio apartment while we're doing like getting that started, just like have a home base, because we don't have land or anything. So when we're in Colorado, we're just parked in front of our business or like my parents' house or a friend's house. So having like a home base would be kind of nice for a little bit. And then eventually we would love to have some kids and travel with kids. So thanks for all your advice so far.
We got the experts here.
But so that's probably within the next like year or so, we'll start really thinking about that. But
and the cocktail bar is going to be in Greeley as well?
It will be.
Okay, and what, do you guys have a name? Are you allowed to drop the name yet or not yet?
Called After Hours. So
Okay.
it's kind of a play on words in a way. So in the morning time, the building we're in will be a brunch place.
separate
And
owners.
Separate owners, separate everything. We'll just share the building and get half the rent. So we're going to open up after we close. So then we will be open after hours of the brunch place.
That's pretty cool. That's kind of cool.
Nice.
And I know that you, Mars and Ash, I know that you guys have a pretty exciting project coming up here pretty soon. But tell us, what you guys have planned in the near future. Anything that you want to promote or talk about?
Yeah. So we recently bought a bus, and so our next project is building out a bus, just because we wanted to like we really miss like having people over. So people usually, you guys probably understand this too. When people come over to your van, people stand, like no one's like really relaxing, and you're like, sit down, it's fine. And they're
At
like,
least our van isn't built out necessarily like
You guys-
well for that.
you
We
guys
also
have a great bench.
Yeah.
Like I remember being in your van and being like, oh, like so you can sit here. Like ours doesn't feel that very much. But anyway, all that to say, we got a bus because we were like, what can we do to give us a little bit more space and put the kids in like a separate room? So now we'll have like a room for the kids and our space with friends.
Also, so two-part on the bus. Yeah, because
okay.
we're gonna build it out. We also recently built a little tiny studio on our property. And
music
a
studio.
little tiny music studio. And so it's gonna actually sit right next to the tiny music studio to be, well, we're gonna use it for now while we're trying to build a house in the future. But it'll also be for like in the long run, it'll be like a guest house for friends.
Yeah.
So
if anyone's coming, like solo artists or people using the studio, they can stay in the bus and like have a space to like,
So it goes toward our long-term goal, as well as fixing a short-term problem of like when we are on our property, being in the van is like a little tight. I have like a wild son. Like my 1.5-year-old is like a baby gorilla. Like he's not human. He just like climbs on everything and hurts himself and it's crazy. And I'm like, I just need a little bit more space. So I'm super stoked about this bus. But traveling we'll probably stick to the van. We probably won't travel that much in the bus. So we're gonna come back. We have a month and a half left on this tour. Wrap it up. Come back to the property. Work on our bus. Get done with it, and then we're gonna go to Baja.
That is the
Through
plan.
the winter.
Yeah, in the bus or the
I don't
van?
know.
Probably
in the van
the van.
or the bus. Probably the van,
van.
realistically.
Just because I don't want to I don't know how long it's
Probably-
gonna take to
probably
build
the
that
van.
bus. So we're
Well,
gonna
that's
try.
that's the next 6 months for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the bus. It's beautiful. I can't wait to see what you guys do with it.
Oh yeah, thanks.
I think it's
Us
gonna
too.
it's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be amazing, and I can't wait to see all your videos and stuff from Baja. It should be really exciting.
Oh, we're so excited.
Yeah, awesome. So I guess like we're pretty much at an hour, and I wanted this to be an hour, and you guys have been so generous with your time, both of you, and just really wanted to thank you guys for joining and thank the audience for tuning in. And thanks for joining and have a great day. This has been an awesome first episode of Van Talks.
Yeah, thanks so much for
dude,
having
it's been
us.
an honor to be a part, guys.
Wow, special thanks to Mars and Ash Fite and Austin and Janna Jenkins. We're going to put their info in the description below. But what did you guys think about today's episode? Please let us know in the comments below. And if you got something valuable out of today's episode, please imagine somebody cutting your van off on the highway, harness all that road rage, and hit that like button like it's your horn. And be sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss out on any future episodes. And be sure to visit vanlifeoutfitters.com for more content and products specifically created for supporting the DIY van builder. And be sure to sign up for for our newsletter featuring interesting content and updates for all things van life. You can also find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest. Our next episode is going to be about how to decide what rig is best for you. But until next time, thanks for watching and supporting our channel so we can continue providing the van life community with more valuable content. And that's going to do it for today's episode. See you soon.